Stockbridge Ethics Board meeting, September 13th. We're going to do a roll call first. Is the microphone loud enough? Everyone here? Miss Linda Black? Present. Miss Mildred Reed?
Here.
Miss Yvonne Beasley?
Present.
And Miss Judy Neal? First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda for tonight. Everyone will review the agenda. If I can get a motion to approve.
I move that we accept the agenda as you are.
Other business, one item on the agenda for other business is that we need to vote on a work session date to submit recommendations to the city council for expanding and revising the charter. We currently have a hearing scheduled for next Thursday night, and then we have the date of the 11th of October reserved in case the hearing from next week needs to roll over. Any objections to setting a work session for Thursday, October 25th?
I have.
Any objections? So that we will set our work session date. Please feel prepared to expand, to make recommendations to expand the charter on the 25th at 7 p.m. We need to make some procedural decisions in regards to the hearings tonight before we move forward. I would like to state that we will reserve some time this evening for public comments. It will be at the end. It will be limited to 3 minutes per person again. The first procedural aspect is setting a time to end daily until we dispose of the matters that we're hearing. Any recommendations in terms of the time that we cut off to be respectful of everyone's time tonight? 2 hours. 9 p.m. We will end no later than 9 p.m. tonight. Standard of proof is the next thing that needs to be decided upon. Generally, on a criminal matter, the standard of proof would be beyond reasonable doubt. Since there are no criminal charges that are pending at this time against either Mr. Milliron or Ms. Vasquez, that standard of proof would not be appropriate in this case. Our other 2 options are preponderance of the evidence, which would be where one side has more evidence than another. The other standard of proof would be clear and convincing evidence, which would be truth by high probability. Any questions about our standard before we take a vote as to which standard this board would like to use? Okay. The 2 standards that would be applicable generally in civil court would be either preponderance of the evidence, which would be that one side basically has more evidence than the other side. The other option would be clear and convincing evidence, which is a slightly higher standard that by a higher probability in favor of one side versus the other. Teasing out the differences between the standards are not very easy, but they are both options for us.
So at this point, we only have two options.
Yes, because beyond reasonable doubt would not be a standard we would apply in non-criminal. We need to choose. We would need to choose one or the other so that it is on record what our standard of proof is going to be.
I would recommend clear and convincing.
Clear and convincing. All right, the standard will be clear and convincing evidence for this hearing. If I can have Ms. Vasquez, who I do not believe is going to be present tonight, Ms. Holliday, and Mr. Miller, thank you for the board. Ms. Holliday, are you anticipating calling any witnesses?
Yes,
Okay. How many witnesses are you anticipating calling?
2, possibly 3, or actually 4.
And are all present tonight?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, are you anticipating calling any witnesses?
I am indeed.
How many?
One.
Is that person present?
That person is present.
Do either of you anticipate any additional forms of evidence other than what has been submitted so far to this board?
Yes, indeed.
And are copies available so that Ms. Holliday will have a chance to review that?
Yes, indeed.
All right. And are either of you represented by counsel tonight?
No.
All right. Any objections to proceeding with the first hearing? Okay. Mr. Miller, if you would have a seat, we're going to proceed with the hearing from last week first.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Holliday, if you would, are you going to be the first witness?
This is from last
Last
week.
week.
Oh, because I didn't know we were hearing that tonight because I didn't get any notice.
We reset, remember? Last week we reset that.
I didn't know if you had agreed to that, but that's fine. Okay.
Do you have any witnesses to the matter from last week that you're going to present besides your own testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes. Do I need to advise you who that witness is now, or when will I need to advise you who that witness is?
Once you make your opening statement, then you will call your witnesses
Okay.
and they will be sworn in.
Okay. Good evening. You are hearing an ethics complaint filed by me against the now former City of Stockbridge City Clerk, Nicole Vasquez. The ethics complaint against the City of Stockbridge City Clerk, Nicole Vasquez, was filed as a result of me being made aware that the City Clerk's husband, Kevin Vasquez, posted what was then confidential information on the social media website, Facebook. Mr. Vasquez included in his message confidential information that had been discussed in and was to remain in executive session. Mr. Vasquez was Mrs. Vasquez, was in attendance during those discussions. I asked if discussions heard during executive session are going to become part of public conversation, then what is the purpose of executive session? Maintaining confidentiality was clearly lacking. You asked me at the last meeting, what should you as a board do considering Ms. Vasquez is no longer an employee of the City of Stockbridge? At the time that this complaint was filed, Ms. Vasquez was an employee and I feel the matter should be heard. What action, if any, that this board or the City Council takes would be at the discretion of each respective body. The City of Stockbridge has an ethics ordinance in place that I am certain that you will rely upon for guidance.
you like to call your first witness?
That would be Tiffany Jones.
Ms. Jones, please come forward. Is your phone on vibrate, Ms. Jones?
It's silent.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, full truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
You may proceed, Ms. Holliday, with your question.
My question to Ms. Jones would be, did you receive via Facebook a message from Mr. Vasquez that gave confidential information regarding me and the city of Stockbridge?
Yes.
And how did you receive that information?
Via Facebook.
Were you aware of any pending litigation that I had with the city prior to you receiving that information?
No.
After that information was sent to you, was the message still made available via Facebook? What happened then?
It remained available for approximately 12 hours. I still have the messages. iPhone has an application where you can take a photo of any type of message sent from any application. I took a photo of it. And after I sent a message back to Mr. Vasquez, that's when he blocked himself. And therefore, the message wasn't available any longer.
Would you mind telling us what that message was that you sent back? And I do have a copy if you need to refer to it.
I had it still in my phone. And sent on July 31st, 2012. It says, "Hey Tiffany, can you please ask your mom to stop calling my wife, harassing her and lying to her about me? I'm obviously not Hector Torres and could care less about what she does or does not do. I'm sorry that she lost her job, but I don't think calling every other day, lying, having lawsuits against the city, etc. is going to help her get her job back. Thanks."
And your response to that was?
Really, Kevin? I obviously have no idea what you're talking about, as I'm not involved in my mother's day-to-day business. She doesn't want that expletive job back, and she already is with another company. As far as her lawsuit, it is fact-based and has nothing to do with Nicole. I'm sorry that your wife doesn't realize that she was a pawn and that scumbag, over parentheses, who is also no longer with the city's, close parentheses, scheme. If she can't handle the pressure of being the city clerk because she has absolutely no experience nor the background to even qualify for that position, sorry, but I couldn't care less. Now, if you would kindly not involve me in with matters of your wife and allegedly my mom, that would be greatly appreciated. On another note, you, sir, should actually have no knowledge of her lawsuit, as that is ongoing litigation and not public information. The city clerk should know that.
Any further questions that you have for her?
There's two more messages.
Okay, go ahead.
He responded, "Thanks for the kind words and for all of your help." I responded, "No, thank you. For putting in writing that the city clerk is discussing private information with citizens, you have confirmed what we already know. The city of Stockbridge is corrupt to the core. You shouldn't involve me in this matter because I have nothing to do with it."
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Ms. Jones, you're not excused yet.
Oh.
Ms. Jones, I have a question. How much time passed between the message that Mr. Vasquez allegedly sent to you and your response to him?
About 2 hours. He sent it around 8 in the morning, and I responded at around 10:30.
Did you speak to your mother after receiving his first message?
I did.
And what was the nature of your conversation with your mother?
What is Kevin Vasquez referring to?
And what did your mother say to you?
she stated to me what the situation was with Nicole and the lawsuit that she had against the city of Cypress that didn't have anything to do with Nicole.
Did you have occasion to speak with Mr. Vasquez on telephone at all, or were your communications solely via Facebook?
So we did this.
Did you communicate via Facebook before this communication?
No.
Any questions that the board has for Ms. Jones? Thank you, Ms. Jones. Appointments with Mrs. Holiday.
That is the only witness for this particular case.
Do you yourself choose to render any testimony other than what you've presented so far?
I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have for me.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Holiday at this time? So she doesn't go under oath.
I have one question.
Ms. Holiday specifically?
Yes, it actually could go to both Tiffany and Holiday.
Then Ms. Jones, if you would come forward, please. And Ms. Holiday, if you would raise your right hand. Do you promise and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Ms. Jones, I just have a question. You said that there was a 2-hour lapse of time between the Facebook contact, and that was through telephone calls to your mom, correct? Did you bring with you this evening proof of those phone calls to tell the exact time?
To my mom.
You said that you called?
I called her today. I didn't think to print out.
We would like to see copies to validate from your phone to her phone.
We'll get that. AT&T was the AT&T record. And she did call me and ask me what was going on with that. And I asked her to read me what had been sent to her.
I'm not so concerned about that. I think we have that in the documentation, but we don't have in the documentation the exact time of the 2 phone calls that you all had that evening.
There was only one phone call in the morning. I called her. That was only a phone call.
Okay. But we would like to see copies of those so we can get that record for us.
I have another question. Ms. Jones, the timestamps that are on the documentation that has been submitted on it, do you have copies of this there in front of you? What do these timestamps reference? Are they the time that's on your iPhone at the time that you're actually pulling up the message? Or
This is the copies.
I'm not quite sure what you're looking at right now.
what I'm looking at, it appears to be a screen from a computer. In the far right-hand corner, it's dated 8/7/12:18 a.m. However, the time on the phone appears to be 10:29 a.m.
Right. The time on the phone is the actual time that I responded and took a picture of the message that I sent. I'm assuming
That's the email.
is when it was sent, when she got it.
She emailed it. I asked her to email me the copies because he had deleted the messages off of his, he blocked her as a friend, where she was no longer able to access his account. So I asked her to,
Were you present when she blocked him?
no, she didn't block him, he blocked her.
I unfriended him
Oh,
first.
excuse me.
Whatever, I don't know how
Were
Facebook
you
works.
present, Ms. Holiday, when he blocked her?
No,
Okay, you can't testify to that, which you don't know.
okay.
What I'm wondering though is the 10:29 a.m. time, so that's a time from your phone of your response to his original message to you or his,
When I sent the message and then I took a picture of it. So that's when I took a picture of it.
okay. And so the time that's in the corner, the 12:18 a.m. time, that's a screenshot from your computer, is that correct?
That's from,
My email.
right, the email.
That you forwarded to your mother?
Right.
So that I can print it out and have it for the record.
proof from your cell phone carrier, documenting any conversations, any phone calls that were made to or received into your telephone on the date, and you're alleging that this date is the 31st, is that correct?
Right.
When can you supply that to this board? Tomorrow. And what will that proof look like? Will that be a copy of your cell phone bill showing?
Outgoing calls.
Any further questions? Or other concerns? I'll answer them.
I would only ask that once the board receives that information and reviews it, that the phone numbers be redacted for personal reasons.
If it is something that's submitted into evidence, it would, unless it is sensitive, such as a social security number, a date of birth, my interpretation of the Open Records Act is that we would not be obligated to redact any of that information, because the phone number doesn't necessarily have anyone tied to it.
I don't know if I so much agree with that. A lot of social media websites, you can sign up with it using your cell phone number. So I wouldn't feel comfortable having my number throughout the city of Stockbridge, and then at that point, say Georgia or whoever wants to pull up the record and have my telephone number.
Okay, it is something that this board can take under advisement of whether or not we'll be able to then accept that evidence. Because once it becomes part of this file, there are things that are required to be redacted, and there are other things that do not have to be redacted, and there are things that cannot be redacted under the Open Records Act. Anything further for Ms. Jones? Thank you, Ms. Jones. Ms. Holliday, would you like to make any other statement at this time?
No.
Ms. Holliday, if you will provide that to the city clerk tomorrow, then I will retrieve it from the board at that time. Any objections from Mr. Holliday or Mr. Milliron to continuing on to the complaint that followed this first complaint?
No.
No objections? Any objections from the board to continuing on to the next complaint, which is in relation to the first complaint? Would either of you like to make an opening statement? You may proceed.
All right, good evening again. You are hearing an ethics complaint filed by me against the City of Stockbridge City Treasurer David Miller. This ethics complaint is being filed regarding violation of the City of Stockbridge ethics ordinance as it relates to the receipt of complaint process. Mr. Miller, the City Treasurer, came into possession of an ethics complaint that was specifically addressed to the Chairman of the Ethics Board and to contact the Mayor, who was the acting City Administrator. The City Clerk, not the Treasurer, has the duty of handling claims or complaints that are filed against the City. The Treasurer, Mr. Miller, whose duties should relate to the Finance Department, decided to overstep his boundaries with regards to this package. Even though the package was specifically addressed to the Ethics Board Chairman and to contact the Chairman upon receipt and to contact the Mayor upon receipt and to only be opened by the Ethics Board Chairman, Mr. Miller, the Treasurer, decided that he didn't want the Ethics Board Chairman to receive that package. Why not? Any and every citizen has a right to file a complaint and have that complaint heard. Obviously, the Treasurer, Mr. Miller, failed to read the city's ethics ordinance to know that there is a timeline involved in the handling of a complaint. I have a serious and legitimate concern that Mr. Miller, the Treasurer, may have tampered with and opened this confidential package while it was in his possession. After all, the city council gave Mr. Miller, the treasurer, full access to the city's emails to include every employee, the mayor, and the city council. Mr. Miller, the treasurer, also has access to the city's phone system and has the capability of listening to voicemails. Knowing that is why I do not have faith in the confidentiality of information within the city of Stockbridge. Where, other than Stockbridge, would a subordinate have access to his or her boss's emails and voicemail? Knowing this, I have no confidence that this package had not been tampered with, opened, and read by Mr. Miller. Why was that package that had been specifically addressed to the chairman of the Board of Ethics and to be only opened by the chairman of the Board of Ethics redirected to go to the city attorney, Jack R. Hancock? Abuse of power is dangerous. Mr. Miller's actions in regards to this matter, where he took it upon himself to interfere and redirect a package that was specifically addressed as confidential and specifically addressed to the chairman of Ethics Board, was highly unethical. What action, if any, that this board or the city council takes will be at the discretion of each respective body. As a citizen, I have brought the matter to your attention. The city of Stockbridge has an ethics ordinance in place that I am certain that you will rely upon for guidance.
Ms. Holliday, if you will step to the table. Mr. Miller, would you like to make a statement? Will you please stand and address?
Thank you. I'll actually defer, and I will hear all evidence and witnesses against me before proceeding. Thank you.
Ms. Holliday, if you'd like to call your first witness.
First witness would be Kim Barnett.
Is Ms. Barnett present?
Yes, she is.
Ms. Barnett, if you will come forward, please. Ms. Barnett, if you would raise your right hand, do you swear to confirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Absolutely. You may proceed, Ms. Holliday.
Ms. Barnett, did you receive the ethics complaint in question on August 9th at the city of Stockbridge?
I received it from the first lady, yes.
I'm sorry, can you speak into the microphone?
I received it from the mail lady, yes.
At approximately what time did you receive that package, Ms. Barnett?
12:25, 12:30, in the afternoon.
Is this a copy of the package that you received?
Yes.
Who is the package addressed to?
Ms. Holliday, I'm sorry, do we have a copy of what you're referring to?
I received this from the city.
Okay, that is what you're referring to. Okay. We're looking at the exact same document.
Who's the package addressed to?
Ethics Chairman.
Is the package marked confidential?
Yes.
Is the package addressed to David Miller?
No.
Is the package addressed to the treasurer? Who did you give the package to upon receipt, Mr. Barnett?
My supervisor, David.
How long have you been employed by the city, Ms. Barnett?
6.5 years.
Have you ever given a legal document to the treasurer prior to Mr. Miller?
No, we've left them sitting on the counter in the mail room. And because it was confidential and there was no one else available to give it to, that's why I chose to give it to my supervisor, because it had ethics board chairman on it, and at the time, I did not know who the ethics board chairman was. He is my supervisor, so I gave it to him, of who I've been told to give things